All right, Herc, it was a classic, no doubt, but which statement is more accurate? LAFC won MLS Cup or Philly lost it?
Oh, man. I'm not sitting on the fence here, but can it be both? And bear with me for a second. Can it be both? Because if you're the Philly Union and you've got a record on the road that ended up with you losing the last three or not winning the last three on the road, and you go on the road, MLS Cup in Los Angeles, sold-out stadium, and you scored 3 goals. 3 goals, 2 from a center back. You're up a man. You've got the reigning goalkeeper of the year, reigning defender of the year, the coach of the year, and Daniel Gazdak, who got a goal and was an MVP snub. You think you should be taking it home. It's yours to lose, and you did. But how did they lose it? It's a 10-man LAFC team that literally the last 10, 15 minutes didn't attack. In comes in Gareth Bale, a guy who hadn't played at all in the last couple of months, fitness issues, with a knack for the dramatic, as he stated, and he gets the game-tying goal to send it to penalty kicks. After your goalkeeper gets red carded and ends up with a fractured leg out of the game. In comes in the backup goalkeeper, who used to be from the Philadelphia Union, for spot kicks, and he ends up being the MVP, the player of this game. You can't write this stuff. You really can't. It's both for me, and I'm not trying to sit on the fence here, Seb.
So I'm going to give LAFC credit first. I'm going to say they won it first. We talked a lot, Herc, about the threat, the potential of a fracaso with this team, right? Of a failure, of a massive failure for LAFC. And that wasn't just down to the fact that they were Supporter Shield winners who might not have won MLS Cup, right? Supporter Shield winners don't win MLS Cup all the time in Major League Soccer. It was specifically what they did in the summer. The decision by upper management to upset the apple cart, a team that was first place in the West, first place in the Supporter Shield. You bring in Gareth Bale, you bring in Chiellini, you bring in Theo, you bring in et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're trying to be great instead of just accepting very good. And guess what, Herc? It was that risk. It was that risk of upsetting something that was very good, chasing something that was great, which ends up being the difference. Just like 2 weeks ago, I sat here and told you LAFC didn't need Gareth Bale. Without Gareth Bale, LAFC are not MLS Cup champions. That's the bottom line here. And so I think you have to say LAFC went out and won this game. Great comeback, but they also won it in the summer when they went out and did the things that we criticized them for, that we called a risk. When they went out and got Gareth Bale. And it's hard for me to then look at the Union and say, hey, you guys blew it, because, like, the Union couldn't go out in the summer and get Gareth Bale, right? That's not a reality for the Philadelphia Union. That's an option for LAFC that the Union don't have. But as far as the Union are concerned, Herc, we have to point out the fact that is now 4 finals, 0 wins, 0 trophies for the Philadelphia Union under Jim Curtin. What does it tell us about the coach? What does it tell us about the team?
I don't think it tells you much about the coach other than that he coaches the team to get to that final, playing in a final, winning them. Those are differences. And those first 3 finals were under different circumstances in the Open Cup against probably not better competition like they had today. But there were times in this game where they clearly outplayed LAFC. But I've never seen an LAFC team as resilient, as much fight or spirit, that never gave up, regardless of the circumstances. I mean, to see a teammate go down with a broken leg, that'll do some players in. That'll have them pack it and make them go home. That'll give them an excuse to fold. That wasn't the case. I can't be mad at this Philly team. 27th out of 28th in spending, and they got that type of production from those players, that type of play in a final. I mean, you scored 3 goals in a final playing away from home. You think you're going with a trophy in your hands. You're getting on that plane to Philly, and you're saying, we have it. Here it is for you, only to be had it snatched up at the death by one of the best players I've ever seen when it comes to finals.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.